Hello, Internet! How are you? What are you doing today? Ha 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 ha! For it is Monday, and you may or may not be asleepin'. Or something. What are you doing, everybody? What's happening? It is Monday. It's good to be here. It's good to be here on a Monday because it's better than not being here on a Monday, right? You know what I'm saying? Haha, ba-doomps. Right. It is Monday, and we're here to talk about, Lordy, who knows what we're going to talk about today. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and we're all happy to be here. Today's show is brought to you by the color plaid. Today's show is brought to you by the color plaid, thanks to all of the patronizers on Patreon and all the YouTube members on YouTube. Plaid shall be our sponsor of the day. We all enjoy plaid. We love plaid. We love the color of plaid. It's probably my favorite color when you get down to it because it incorporates so many different styles, so many different colors, so many different textures. How do I tie that into anything? I don't. We just segue on to something completely different. And my email is just full of nonsense. And guess who hasn't been able to do anything with it today? That's me. But let's update our sponsors' numbers so that they make sense because we want them to be accurate as possible. We got to take the Patreon down. We got to drop it down to 242. Somebody decided they didn't want to sponsor the show anymore. And they said, hey, I'm not going to sponsor the color plaid. I'm not cool with that. Hey, respect. I understand. That's life. But 242 Patreons help keep this show and the edited content all coming out, flowing, and going, and, that kind of stuff. That's really what it boils down to. I know that last week, I think it was Jay had mentioned in the chat that I had convinced him it was worth $1 a month. But hey, that's how it goes, right? Sometimes you convince people, sometimes you don't. But that's really what it boils down to, you guys hopefully keeping this stuff going. And the segue for me bringing that up anyhow in the first place was that because of you guys, we had a lot of plans for this year. And I titled this, Is 2020 All You Expected? Because this year has been intense. I'm going to admit it. It's been intense, and this whole time I have been basically off and on sick. It's continuing into this week. I wish I could tell you guys I have recovered and I wouldn't have to think about it again for a while, but I am continuing to have health problems while the rest of the planet continues to have health problems. I am not unique in this situation, though I don't have the coronavirus. So I don't have that. And so it just continues to be a mystery what the heck is going on with my upper respiratory health. And I wish I could tell you guys, man, it has really cleared up over taking medication over the last 4 days, but it has not. Let's see, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, today's Monday. I get 3.5 days or something like that, but we'll see what happens over the next couple days. Maybe it's just working its wonder, although I am skeptical right now in regards to what the heck is happening. So inside my body, outside my body is leaving me feeling quite skeptical about what the hell is going to be happening this year. So don't know what to expect at this point. Sometimes it's impeachment, sometimes it's killer bees from all the way from Japan somehow getting over here, or it's viruses, or it's protests that have been infiltrated by insurgents, which seems to be seems to be what's happening now. I think we're starting to find out that insurgents have been infiltrating the protests and what have been creating what has more or less become the big problem. You know, the big problem is that people are trying to protest and some other folks showing up and ruining the party, which I have personally been to a few parties that have been ruined literally in that fashion. I've literally had people show up to parties and light things on fire and break stuff. So I understand how you could just have what you thought was a beneficial gathering of, you know, I guess compadres, whatever you want to call them. I don't know, you know, people that were trying to just have a gathering, and all of a sudden someone shows up and the couch is on fire. I've been there, literally. Not even joking, not even kidding with you guys. I literally have a tattoo that commemorates couches catching on fire because of that. So, you know, I can commiserate with some of the people out in the U.S. who are just trying to do something that they think is beneficial, and unfortunately, some unsavory characters appear to be showing up to instigate what ends up being not such a great gathering. So I would hope that those people can be identified and relocated to some other location, preferably offshore somewhere, like an island maybe. I don't know. That would be fantastic as far as I'm concerned. You know, I don't wish any harm on them or anything like that, but I wish they would just stop breaking into like pizza joints and car parts stores, because it's just kind of foolish. Target, I don't care. I don't care about Target. Feel free to, I don't know, feel free to tell me that you have a deep-rooted, passionate love affair with Target, I guess, as a company for some reason. But, yeah. Okay. But, yes, we definitely have some crazy stuff going on this year. A lot of my plans have been thrown by the wayside. We were supposed to be getting back from Germany. Basically, this last weekend, we were supposed to be returning from our trip to Germany, and that I was going to have all of this footage from all the cool stuff we were going to go to, and I was going to be able to start editing that and putting out those videos, and that got completely canceled. I've been also sick. The world is sick. I understand that, like, we have a lot of the riots and stuff going on, but I would like to remind people that there is a pandemic going on, and I am not 100% sure. People have seemingly lost focus on that. Today is the 1st of June, and today's the first day that the stay-at-home order has been lifted. I have a personal stay-at-home order from my doctor, who has said to stay home for the next week while I go through this treatment to see if it clears up. Otherwise, after that, if it doesn't, I just go back to the doctors, I guess. I don't know. I think that's the plan as far as I know. I think that's how it works with doctors, but they don't want me going out with already having respiratory issues right now, and then possibly getting the virus, which would be, which in their mind would be a double whammy of not good. And so we shall see what happens throughout this week with the medications and stuff. I'll do my best to continue to produce content for you guys. I hope you guys liked some of those videos that I put out over the weekend. I thought they were very, I'm kind of sticking with my Bob Rossian kind of stuff. In that vein, I guess. It's obviously it's not the same presentation or anything like that, but I definitely have been trying to stay in that, just creating some content that is kind of calming and cooling, and something as a reminder to people out there that maybe you stumble across that video and go like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should take a half an hour out of my day to work a little bit on my quiet time hobby, as opposed to being, super stressed out and screaming on the internet about every crazy thing that's going on right now. Now, I am saying, use your voice where you can to scream out on the internet when you feel like you need to, for sure, 100%. But just as a reminder to people out there, take your break and do your gardening for a little while and do your thing, amongst voicing your thing too. Take some breaks so that you could come back with a level of clarity that makes a lot of sense, as opposed to getting completely worn down, Even when we're working our regular day jobs, we do have to take those little 15-minute breaks and a lunch break and stuff like that. So that's kind of my recommendation. I was thinking about making a video kind of reminding people to take a break, but I don't know. I haven't had a whole lot of time to shoot footage. And I was figuring the setup for that, and then it's probably like a 2-camera thing, so it's probably looking like that would probably take 4 hours, 5 hours to film or something to realistically get all the shots correctly. And I just don't have that right now because we don't have any daycare or anything. And I'm stuck here and complain. But don't mean to be complaining, but I was thinking about making a video about reminding people to take a break. It's an idea in my head. I don't know. We shall see if people are super encouraging about making a take a break video. Who knows? We got a $2 super chat from Alyssa Bentley for the remonetized. I don't know what I said. I probably said something that demonetized this live stream, which is typically what happens. I normally mention something that flags up in YouTube, and then they remove the advertising. They don't remove the ads. I just make a limited amount. What they do is you get limited advertising. So they'll put 100 ads in the hour-long live stream, and then not really pay me, the channel, for it. Speaking of getting paid, remember, we got Amazon links for days, and I'm going to... somebody had asked about this tool link last week, and I still have it here in my feed, so I'm going to post it up in the chat just in case somebody is going to buy a bunch of crap from Amazon, and that is a really cheap way to support the show because you're probably going to buy stuff off Amazon anyhow. You might as well go through our links so that it kicks back to us, and then we're able to make more fish tank videos because the pandemic, all the planes are grounded. It can't go anywhere anyhow. So maybe we do that. I don't know. We do stuff. We hang out at home and buy things off Amazon. That seems to be kind of the thing, what a lot of people are doing these days. And I forgot to hit the cough button. Sorry about that. Phil Emerson says, great to see everyone so soon. Wink, 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 wink. I don't know what was going on with YouTube this morning. It decided to say that I put in the start time of the video at 4:47 p.m. my time. I don't know why. It makes really no sense to me whatsoever. So for whatever reason, it was... saying that, and people were like, dude, we have to wait a long time for the show, and I'm like, it's early today. So I don't know why I was doing, but we got Flickabook says arrived late as ever, 5 members away from the goal. That's right, we're trying to get over 100. Who knows if we'll get there. Janice Lundberg says the planes are flying over my house from Logan, which is confusing. I don't understand that. But maybe if I think about it with my brain thinking parts, maybe it'll kick in. Joseph, how's it going, fishy folks? Hope you're having a great day. Yeah, we're all having a great Monday and just kind of kicking around here doing our thing and figuring out what's going on. Dave says, sending good healing vibes. Thank you, my guy. Persistent respiratory gack is no fun. Yeah, it's the opposite. It's the opposite of good. I'm not... I'm not at all like super enthusiastic about this continued respiratory distress that I'm having, but hopefully we can get it figured out with the doctors. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Mary Page says it's awful. They put us on an 8 p.m. curfew last night in Virginia. Yeah, you know, it seems to be that there's a lot of curfews and stuff out there to remind people to stay safe and you know, just do, I don't know. Just stay safe, I guess. That's probably the best advice I can give. Hey, stay in safety zone, I guess. I don't know. I was going to try and give people advice about, like, maybe don't throw bricks through windows or anything like that, but I don't know. Just stay safe, I think, seems to be, like, the best way to put it. But, yeah. That seems to be the thing to talk about, would be safety. A lot of the looting I watched last night on live feeds was people stealing things like clothes and diapers. Yeah, I saw a lot of looting where people were just seemingly mostly taking kind of necessities and stuff like that, which kind of may or may not have a connotation that we should all probably kind of think about for a minute. You know, if people are just looting clothes and diapers, I wonder if they're doing that out of need or just whatever, you know. Janice says, you said no planes were not flying. I think I was talking about that last week during the pandemic. I was talking about the extraordinary amount of money that we spend on our military. And, you know, of course, I got some pushback on that because people are like, you don't understand the U.S. budget. And I'm like, I feel like a lot of people that tell me that I don't understand the U.S. budget don't understand how our taxing system works, is what normally seems to pop up. Because I normally hear people talk about, air quote, entitlement programs like Social Security and Medicare, Medicaid, which we are all taxed the exact same rate for that. And there is a cap on those, by the way. I don't know if people understand that. There's only a certain amount of money that you could pay into Social Security and whatnot. There's a cap by the year. Medicare, Medicaid, there's a cap for employers, so employers don't have to pay after a certain point. And you know, you still have to pay your 1.9% tax for Medicare, Medicaid throughout all your earnings, but it's matched up to, I think, 135,000 or something like that. But I also would remind people that if you're making 135K a year, just do that and calm down. But I think people are, I think people are misinterpreting how our system works, and when they look at the overall budget, they think like, well, look all this money that's being spent on Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, and these entitlement programs, which I think is a bullshit statement to ever make in its own right, because it's an accusatory term to say that people are accepting entitlement programs, or, you know, and to assume that like people need Social Security because they have to retire. We already know, historically speaking, in the United States, that if we don't have a program like Social Security, we end up with a ton of elderly people who are desperately poor and destitute. And we know that from United States history. We know that happens. And, you know, to say that, like, it's an entitlement program that people would get a Social Security check is just rude. It's ignoring history. It's ignoring the facts of what has happened in the past and the reasons for installing programs like that. And I almost feel like it's always people taking a shot at those kinds of programs that have not had to use them yet. And the word yet is importantly on there. Like, they haven't been affected or effected one way or another. And I know that people have a tendency to get really upset with me when I talk about this kind of stuff. And I understand. If you have to unsubscribe and go away and do that kind of thing, I get it. It's all good. I ain't mad at you. That's life. But typically, and I talked about this a while ago, one of the big studies that was done in regards to, people's political stance and overall worldview and things changing once they had gone to college. And one of the groups that was kind of a good group to have pulled from to figure out like why their political stance would have changed or whatnot, having gone to college, was essentially housewives that later on went to college in life. So you think somebody that's 40, 45 years old, the kids are grown up, gets the opportunity to go back to college, which is awesome. I think that right there in its own right is an amazing thing that could have happened. But if they find that a lot of the people that have gone to college later in life end up sort of removing themselves from some of the extremely one-sided viewpoint, like calling things entitlement programs. That kind of thought process goes away to essentially a certain degree. It's not necessarily conservatives become hyper liberals or something, but they end up kind of more moderate, right? And one of the reasons for that I found to be really interesting was if you look at it from the perspective of the person that was the homemaker, right? Somebody who's a caretaker of children and whatnot for the majority of their time. If you're around 2 or 3 kids all day and that's what you have to take care of all of the time, that's what you're doing all of the time. Vicky and I are here with our one child, and it's 24 hours a day. The kid's running around. We have to watch her all the time. There's just no period in time where we're like, oh, Olivia's just been off for an hour doing whatever she wants to do, So it's very encompassing, and it becomes like kind of the entirety of your reality of what you're doing. Now, if you happen to be in a one-income household like that, where the homemaker that is at home isn't going out to go to work or anything like that, it becomes really an insulated situation, right? And when you're involved in that insulated situation, whatever these government programs are don't seem to be applicable to you other than your household pays some taxes to somebody, but you don't necessarily see the benefit of it from that sort of forced, insulated viewpoint, right? And it's not forced is kind of wrong, but it's just you're not being exposed to like the other things in life. Now, I find it very admirable that anybody would be able to be a homemaker and raise children like that. Obviously, as children get older, you do start to kind of be able to expand what's going on, but it's very difficult to like kind of do that kind of stuff. I found it that to be kind of one of those things that was kind of eye-opening to me, because I always kind of wonder when I'm talking to the perspective of certain people that are out there in the world, and they're not I don't think that they're necessarily, seeing it through somebody else's viewpoint. I think that personally, I probably wasn't seeing it through other people's viewpoint of being in that kind of insulated position, that it's very easy to now get exposed to other people via the internet and whatnot. Scott Swenson says, so are we talking politics, not fish or shrimp, DIY stuff, tours, etc.? I talked about the fact that I was supposed to be on tours, but there is the coronavirus currently going on, so I was unable to go to Germany to go do those tours and things. It is June 1st, the year 2020. There's a lot of kind of crazy stuff going on. So I'm just kind of talking about some of that stuff right now. I'm currently working on some sort of personal fish tank projects and stuff like that. But I definitely do like to stay in context of what is going on in the world. I was actually talking about some of the things I was talking about last week because, hold on. Whoops. My internet button here. My mouse stopped working. There we go. Wake up. But Janice was talking about the planes flying, and I was talking about the fact that the planes aren't flying over my house anymore because they're not doing training flights. The super important training flights that they were doing, 20 to 40 of them a day over my house during the week, has been on hiatus because of the coronavirus. So it's contextual to me. I know that you guys living out there in the world don't have C-17s flying over your house being super loud. But I personally have that where we live. I may be exaggerating with 40, but 20 is probably about right, which isn't that bad when you think about it, because it's a 5-hour period or a 6-hour period out of the day. Like every 20 minutes, one goes flying, and you're like, whoa. And then 20 minutes later, whoa, And it's not that big of a deal, but just the overwhelming cost was what I was talking about last week, just how much money was being spent. And I find that to be a personally problematic, how much money is spent on that kind of stuff, considering a lot of the things that we need to do in the world. And it doesn't seem to me that society sees a huge benefit from C-17s flying around constantly. When I think they honestly could be in the flight simulators and probably getting mostly the same thing. And also, the one thing that kind of drives me nuts is whenever weather gets really bad, they start flying those planes around. So it'll be like Saturday night, and it turns out that like the weather sucks, and all of a sudden they start flying those planes all around because they want to fly them around in crappy weather to like get better at flying them in crappy weather. And I'm like, it's over my house, man. Do this in the desert somewhere. You're not going to crash. Elflower 1 star says, any more new stimulus package coming? I doubt it, honestly. I really do doubt it at this point. It seems that the bailouts went to Mitch McConnell's buddies, and he's not going to. Apparently, our government works in a way that if you're the leader of the Senate's majority party, then you can just not do your job. You can just literally just not even bring any of the bills to the floor, which is astounding to me, because then you could get on TV and go, the Democrats aren't doing anything, even though there's hundreds of bills sitting there that haven't even been seen by the Senate. I don't know. Whether you like either side, I personally don't like either side. This is more a critique of the fact that there's one person in the way of, at the very least, the bills moving forward, which is absurd to me. Absolutely absurd. And I personally think that multiple branches of the government should be replaced by everybody voting. Everybody should be voting on these laws, Where did that link go? Oh, here was the Amazon link that I forgot to post into the chat. That is aquascaping tools that are pretty cheap and affordable, in my opinion, and have been working out really well. I've found some really expensive aquascape tools that, I'm going to be honest with you, are awesome. They're rad. I got to tell you, some of the really expensive ones are totally cool, amazing in the hand, Just fantastic aquascaping tools. But even from my own perspective, I don't know if I can even handle paying something like $100 for a pair of tongs or $150 for a pair of scissors. I mean, I get it. Maybe they're worth that. I don't know. But I don't think I could personally find myself spending that kind of money. So there's a link to some Amazon Scape tools that you get kind of all of them. That you get kind of all of them in place. Father Fish says, thank God for him. Them Dems are trying to overthrow the Constitution. They must be stopped. Wow, that sounds like a really, really twisted perspective to have, man. Sorry that you're trying to vilify one gigantic group of Americans. It's very interesting. I haven't seen the 1200 stimulus check yet, and it's looking like I'm not going to. That is weird because mine came in actually pretty rapidly. They direct deposited it, I think, because taxes had been filed in the way that they had been filed. I don't know. I think it had to do with how I filed my taxes, and so I paid my business taxes and all that kind of stuff. Maybe I think everything was electronically filed and stuff. Yeah, I mean, my accountant did it. So should be, I would think, either coming or something. I mean, I know that a few people had reported on the Discord that they had received a check in the mail. Yeah. Yeah, I received a check in the mail, so I know that took a little bit of time. Glass City Fish Witch with a $10 super chat says, I will sacrifice a chicken for your health. I am making sage chicken for dinner. Yeah, I appreciate that. Actually, I honestly do. You guys know that we have our chickens here. We haven't had to harvest them yet. I thought this was going to be the year. I thought this was going to be the year that they would end up getting harvested. I think it's going to be next year because they have, boy howdy, started laying again like crazy this season. I don't know what it was. Maybe the cold weather or whatnot slowed them down. I thought that they were slowing down. Like, we don't know how old some of our chickens are, so we have their mysterious age. Yeah. Scott Swenson says, okay, I'm not here for politics. I'll try to catch you next time. Hashtag disappointing. Ooh. Interesting. Very interesting. Anyhow, I thought this year was going to be the year that we'd have to harvest our chickens, but they just started laying like crazy. They're back up to, I think, about 22 eggs a week right now, which is pretty healthy click for, I think 7 of our chickens are still laying, so not bad, getting about 1 egg a day, 1 egg every 3 days from each chicken. So somewhere between 22 to 24 a week, which I think is pretty reasonable for our tiny flock plus our super old chicken. We have one of our chickens is named Booger. That's the big... If you ever see a video of our chickens, it's the big giant white one that is like all white, looks super old because it's white and huge. And she is the matriarch. I almost said patriarch, but that's not right. She's the matriarch of our chickens. She is the queen chicken. She is the leader of the chicken herd that we have. What the hell is going on with this computer over here? Is it frozen? I'm trying to click the button, and it's not working. Delete. There. I don't know what that was. What? And now it's back. I deleted it, and it returned. Okay, delete. Yes, begone. Begone, emails that I don't want to read. Get out of here. Okay, sorry. It's Monday, and you just get hammered with those weird emails coming in, and they pop up over on that thing, and I wanted to delete them. But yeah, I think with the matriarch bird, which Booger 100% does not lay any eggs at all. There's no way that chicken is laying eggs. Vicky hatched that chicken from an egg like 9 years ago, I think. I want to say she said it was 2011, I think. Hatched that one from an egg. And turned out to be Booger. And turned into a giant white hen that was pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting that she's like all white, and then we have some of those barred rocks and the black Dominiques. Man, I thought the Dominiques would be done laying eggs this year at least, but they're producing again. So that's not bad. Doesn't mean we gotta harvest them this year. They're probably going to be stew chickens next year for dog food and that kind of stuff. Seems to be the deal. Laura Morgan says, I don't understand how people can ignore the effects politics and current events have on everything in our lives, including fish keeping. Yeah, I think that is ultimately my take on the thing, is that people go, they come in here and they start yelling about how they don't want to hear about politics or anything like that. And I get it, I guess. I don't know. There's a billion videos on YouTube that you could go watch that are straight up the toodle dinks and dumb stuff where some fish guy throws a goldfish into a local water supply, and you can go yell at that guy about being a douchebag. I respect everybody's opinion to a point. If somebody was to come and tell me that they think murder is cool, am I supposed to just respect that opinion? No, I'm not supposed to, and I'm not going to. So I respect that people have opinions. I respect that people, are able to have their autonomy as a human being and have their own thoughts and think about the stuff that they want to think about. But I'm not going to respect every opinion that exists on the planet. That is a completely absurd way of looking at the world, that just because you're an individual that you're allowed to just have terrible, crappy opinions, no. And I'm not required to just respect everybody no matter what all of the time. And I don't think anybody else is either. I think if I went and stood out in the street and yelled at somebody that I didn't like them and I don't like anything that they're about. And yes, technically we do have freedom of speech in the United States, and you can go outside and yell and scream and that kind of stuff. And you are allowed to have an opinion as long as it's not a threatening opinion to someone else's rights. And the government can't silence you from certain things, but there's a bunch of things that the government can silence you from saying, and that's their First Amendment right, is to not have your political opinions and stuff like that silenced and whatnot by the government. But I don't have to respect every single thought process that every person in the world is having. That's just bizarre. Like, am I supposed to respect Pol Pot's opinion on enslaving his entire population to create enough food so that he could sell it off and commit genocide? No, I don't respect that thought process. It's nuts. Father Fish says, I'm not willing to initiate political or religious discussion, but I will not be quiet when a fish tuber expresses opinions which I am in deep disagreement. Which is weird, because for whatever reason, you think that you have some kind of bearing on fish tube, I guess. I don't know when whoever became the leader of some kind of idea of FishTube or whatever. YouTube is a platform that I have been on and broadcasting on for 10 years now. So I don't know that FishTube is an entity that even exists, or who is the boss of it. You know, I talk about fish content. I talk about not fish content. I talk about stuff that I want to talk about. And I guess I get to have my First Amendment right because I won't be silenced by the government. But I also do have the right to, you know, maintain my own workspace the way that I would like to maintain it. Small Fry Aquatic says, I once did the math on these big egg farms, and it seems like they need 1,000 hens laying at any given time. Talk about machine-like production. Oftentimes, people in the U.S. are extremely separated from what the mass agriculture that we have going on in the United States looks like from a very personalized perspective. If you were to actually go to some of the farms and actually see how things are going, to see personally how things are going in the world of agriculture and how factory farming actually looks in person. Federally, we have these ag laws in place. We have these ag laws in place that stop essentially the documentation of factory farming. You know, you can't go in there. It's illegal to go in there and film stuff and release it out. Release things out that show what factory farming is all about. Factory farming has gotten to the point where in the United States, we have essentially these giant, try to put it into words for you guys that kind of make sense. Either way, it's going to sound harsh, but it really is a harsh situation in what we have set up right now. The slaughterhouse leads to the butchering facility. There we go. That's probably the best way to put it. There's a slaughterhouse where animals go to die, which I am opposed to the methodology of how that's done. It's done at a rate that's far too rapid. It's far too stressful for the animals. It's far too it's stupid. It's stupid and it's inhumane, the way that it is currently done. And if you've never been there, I would recommend you to definitely go to one of these facilities to actually see what it's like in person, and start to get an idea of how these things are actually processed. They go from the butcher, the slaughterhouse, to the butcher. And these butchering systems are basically exactly what you would think as a factory floor. So you think when they're assembling Fords, right? And you see those old-timey videos where the stuff's going by on the assembly line and whatnot. That's how it's operated now, and how butchers operate. So there'll be, 1,200 workers in a factory that is essentially just cutting up and butchering and packing hogs or hens or cows or whatever it is that they have going on there. And you have people that really are trained to do one thing, like you be the sirloin cut or a tenderloin cut person. In those factories is how they move through. Somebody just learns how to do this one thing, and that's what they do over and over and over all day, every day. And with the coronavirus going on, we found out that a virus runs through one of these factories, and if you don't have those butchering factories in place, all of these animals just get put down out in the field, basically, and they send them to compost because the animals themselves have been commoditized into a commodity that if you were to keep them alive longer, you have to feed them so much that it becomes financially untenable for the company to continue holding on to these animals. So then they go, well, we don't have anywhere to put them, because more often than not, they're grown in a warehouse, all just crammed into a warehouse, and you can't take them back to the warehouse because the next animals are occupying that space because they just keep that system constantly going all year round, and they don't have anywhere to put these animals in the way that they farm. Now, we do have enough farming space in the United States to diversify our farming system like it used to look. Being a farmer is a good job if you can farm a certain amount of land that is a tenable amount of land. You do not need 100,000 chickens laying eggs to feed your family. Now, if you're a company that's extracting 1.5 cents for every egg that goes out the door, and you need to have gold-plated yachts, then yeah, you definitely do need 100,000, 200,000 chickens laying it all the time so that you can accumulate this massive amount of wealth because you're trying to drive this giant factory that's extracting money. And, you know, it is what it is. Like, our system allows these companies to do this, and I'm not for it. I'm for diversifying. I'm for diversifying our agriculture, opening our supply chain, or diversifying our supply chain so that there are more producers in more areas and stuff. And that's going to be one of the ways of the future that I think is going to be really important for the United States to get back to, because right now there's a huge obstruction of people thinking that they need to get into 100,000 chickens in order to compete in the market, and I don't think that's the case. I really don't. I personally don't. You know, considering most people probably only need to make $50,000 to $60,000 a year to have what I would consider a pretty awesome life if you aren't wasting a bunch of money on goofy stuff and can just keep going. Flying Dutchie says agroforestry is the future. I think agricultural diversity is very important for the future of this country. If we say 1 out of 100 people was doing some kind of agricultural thing, that's only 1% of the population, and that really only boils down to 3 to 4 million people working on something. I think that would be amazing to see that. I think the last statistic I saw, we were down to 1.1 million farmers in the United States, and that was months and months, maybe even a year ago. I looked at it. I know a ton of them have been going out of business and being eaten up by these large agricultural firms that are doing things like having 100,000 chickens laying eggs so that they can just continue to do that. Saul Good says, I have to say the demand was there for them to produce that much. I am all for locally sourced meat. 100%. I think the demand is there. I think the ability is there. I think that the necessity is there. And I also believe that there are the humans that want to do it. I think there are enough humans that want to do a job like that. But right now, you're looking at a $3 or $4 million loan to try and get a small farm going. If you try to buy into a farm that already has existed, that's what real estate looks like. Down south of here, I was actually looking at a dairy farm that I think was reasonably priced. I think how many head? 440 head. Milk production cattle is what the facility would handle. There was 3 houses on the property, blah, 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 some other stuff. So most of it partially pasture raised, that kind of stuff. It wasn't 100% up to what I would consider to be amazing, but 1.8 million was looking at the cost there, and you're kind of going like, man, yeah, I don't see anybody being able to get that loan realistically. I just don't see it. Yeah, and I just don't see anybody being able to break into dairy farming at a $1.8 million loan that would cripple the business, especially at the rates that anybody's getting. Let me look through some of the chat here because I've been rambling on for a while. Small Fry says, "Are you familiar with Temple Grandin and her work, Humane Harvest of Meat?" You know what? I don't know. I'm going to look that up, though. Let's copy this and run over here to the old Google machine. We'll throw that in there, and we'll take a look if something sparks my mind bits. Let me see. Welcome to Temple Grandin's official autism website. At least no Temple Grandin in the world knows her today. Professor, inventor, best-selling author, and rock star in the seemingly divergent fields of animal. Where'd that go? We have to open this up. Huh. Oh, I think I've read The Way I See It here. I don't know. I'd have to flip through it to remember, but I think some of her autism stuff I may or may not, but I definitely have it highlighted over here. I'll definitely look into it. Not somebody I could give you much commentary off of, but I appreciate the letting me know, and I will seek more and order some books if I can, because if they got books, I'm into it and I'm gonna read them. But I did. There was a period in time when I was doing a lot of psychobiology work. I was reading a lot of books about psychobiology, autism, that kind of stuff. So The Way I See It sparked a like, oh, hey, wait a minute. I think I've seen that book, and I might have it somewhere. But I'll definitely look into it and see if there's anything I can recommend to you guys in the future. Let me scroll back up here because we do have a new member today. Janice Lundberg becoming a member today. Let's go ahead and up the number here to 96 YouTube members. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, as I mentioned before and time again. This is a fan-funded affair that we do around here. You know that a lot of people get upset with me. I get it. I understand. I'm an upsetting person. But this is fan-funded and very much appreciate it. I 100% appreciate it, and hopefully we can keep moving on. I'm trying to find that we're trying to find the big sponsor to be able to try and shoot some more shows and stuff like that, considering I'm probably not going to be going to any of the conventions and stuff this year because of the coronavirus has clearly not gone away. And realistically, I don't even know if I want to go to a convention right now. Like, if I go to a convention where in the U.S., there's probably going to be some kind of chaos going on there, whether it just be virus-related or other. So I can't imagine I'd really want to be doing that at this point. And I also wouldn't want to be trying to go overseas with whether or not there's flights exist or any of that kind of stuff. Laura Morgan says, Temple Grandin's great. It's also worth checking out Joel Salatin on raising livestock humanely. Now, Joel Salatin, I do know a lot about Joel Salatin. He is a great guy and a great resource to pretty much anybody out there looking into starting out some kind of agricultural program on what I would consider a reasonable amount of land. You could probably have 2 to 5 acres and generally start up something that would be profitable pretty easily. I would put it that way. Elf Flower 1 stars is wondering how's Olivia walking, talking. Yes, 100%, constantly. She's running around, going wild in the streets, going buck wild, screaming, yelling, throwing things at stuff, hitting Dad in the head. That's not this one, but I did have a big gash right here. I don't know if anybody noticed that. Somebody mentioned it on the last video. What happened to your head? It's like, oh, I got hit in the head with some stuff. And also, yeah, you know, the sun, too. But yeah, Joel Salatin would be a great guy to look into some of his stuff. Is for sure easy to absorb and easy to kind of follow his teaching and stuff like that. He's a very kind of blue-collarish dude, ex-military. I think he was a Marine, I think. Yeah. Easy to kind of follow what he's talking about, so you're able to work on it. Hex Tank Apologist, be right back. Got to take my order of Hygrophila siamensis out of the mailbox and into the tank. That is rad, dude. I love that plant. Siamensis is a really, 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 really cool plant, and it actually is in today's thumbnail. That's what is in the green. Hold on, let me see. Let me switch it back over here. Right there in the thumbnail. Siamensis 53B. Yeah, cool plant. Cool plant. Speaking of cool plants, I do have a couple of really cool plants showing up this week that I am really excited about. My shrimp are slowly but surely starting to irritate me and piss me off a little bit. Flying Dutch says, really not that hard to make a farm profitable. Having monoculture actually brings a lot of costs with it too, especially pest and disease prevention. Yeah, monocropping is just hilariously stupid, and I mean, to even not be on a crop rotation is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Even incredibly stupid people I know are like, yeah, you're supposed to rotate your crops, you know. I'm like, yeah, that's how we do, right? We rotate our crops. And to hear people just constantly amending nitrogen into the soil and stuff and wondering like, oh, this is fine, this is good, and they've never looked up the Oklahoma Dust Bowl for some reason. I don't know. Her fish, FYI, the USDA Farm Service Agency makes loans targeted to new beginning farmers. Rates are really low right now, of course. They have been targeting micro farmers the past few years. Yes, I have looked a lot into that program. I actually have a USDA tattoo, by the way. That's how much I'm kind of a stupid USDA fan for whatever reason. I'm a fanboy sometimes, and things like agriculture and couch fires get tattooed on me, right? Anyhow, the agricultural loan program is, I can't remember the name of it. Do you have the name of it on there? There's a name for it. The agricultural loan something. I have it saved somewhere. I don't know where it is, but it is a great program. It's kind of limited in a weird way in my state/county. So because I'm in Pierce County, some weird things exist that kind of make those loans a little bit weird. And for me to really get in depth into that, I would have to get all those files out and look at them and explain them to you. But it was a little bit interesting at the time, and Vicky and I think will be applying for that at some point, but likely not in this county. We decided to not try to do any kind of agricultural projects in Pierce County where we live. For a number of viewing, some of those loan programs don't necessarily mesh well with Pierce County for non-specific reasons that I can mention right now because I can't really draw them up out of the annals of my mind to bring them up to tell you specifically. But at the time, we were like, oh, that conflicts with this conflicts with that. And a big part of it is we do have a large population in Pierce County that does need to take into account for that. And we also have large industry, railways, blah, 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 lots of port, a bunch of other things, and history of people kind of lacking their scruples in this county professionally. So they've had to install a lot of regulation in a certain area, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's likely just to move out of Pierce County and make it a little bit easier with more open spaces. But we do have a city here and a lot of suburbs and things, so it does kind of make it a little bit unaffordable is a big kind of portion of it too. So, whoa. We got 2 super chats here. We better address these real quick. Janice with a $20 super chat for the Super Fan Fund. I thank you very much. I can't. It's always difficult for me to express my gratitude to you guys in a way that actually doesn't make me feel weird because I'm a weird person, I guess. I don't know. Thank you very much for your support. I really, there is some point on the horizon. If I'm really honest, that I would love to just be 100% independent at some point, but we're not there yet. So I appreciate you guys chipping into the budget, into the budget bucket. Yeah, the budget bucket. Yeah, there we go. We'll call it the budget bucket from here on out. But Big D Smoke also with the $20 super chat. That is super generous. We will not be demonetized today because there's no way that this damn show was going to make $40 off of advertising. So appreciate it very much. The Fish Tank Barn also, I forgot to address your $5 super chat earlier, probably because I was showing off some of my a deficiency of character and being grouchy at people in the chat. The Fish Tank Barn says, living in another country, England, and going to college changed my viewpoint for sure. And that really is it really is one of the things that I was kind of talking about earlier. It's very easy to become insulated in your world, insulated in what's happening, and not necessarily having a direct appreciation for the programs out there that could be helping amazingly large groups of people, and you just have no contact with them whatsoever. Yeah, and I appreciate that, Mike. The Fish Tank Barn. I really do. I appreciate people that have kind of expanded their horizons and gone around the world a little bit and seen kind of some of the ins and outs and how other people live and how other things and other cultures and stuff like that. I for sure appreciate that. It's awesome. Robbie Noel says rich people need money or else they won't be rich. Yeah, true. I don't want to get into the connotations of that, but yes, true. Doug Ferguson, check out Curtis Stone's Urban Farmer channel. Intelligent diversity on a small plot of land can yield a nice living. I think I've seen Curtis Stone. Let me look that up before I say Curtis Stone Urban Farmer. I think I've seen some of this guy's. Yes, I have seen some of this guy's work. Now, I forget the amount of land he's working with. I think he has a good amount of land. Now, let me see, Urban Farmer Home in Colorado. And we go to his website, and we have ads and a bunch of stuff popping up. Right, because he's got the house, the greenhouse. And so maybe he's doing it on a small plot there. So, like, there's a van and there's his house, and then he's got stuff out front and stuff out back. And I would say from... Because we can use this van as perspective to kind of understand what size of a plot that is. It looks like it's about probably 80 feet wide and 160 feet. It's kind of what it looks like, a rectangular plot like that. Let's go 80 feet by 160 feet, because I can't remember what that is. Is 1.8 into acre. We need that. More info. How many acres is that? I mean, it looks to be about that size. I think, what is that, a half acre? Calculations you can do. Hold on, let's go back. To acre. Oh, so that's about a fourth. Sorry, a fourth. It's 40% of an acre. 4/10 of an acre. So that might be 4/10 or a half acre. Looks kind of like his plot there, which is about the same amount of land I have here. His looks to be a lot more developed. I've seen his greenhouse tours and stuff in the past, but I'm not sure if that's the only place where he's doing stuff. Now, he also looks like he's taken over the neighbor's yard, which I wonder if my neighbors really would care if I just bust in their yard and start planting stuff. Possibly. But, yeah, that is... So, to let you guys know, a part of what I am working on this year, I am still accumulating some of the materials, but I am building a greenhouse this year. Whether it kills me or not, it may be the death of me. I don't know. Some folks on possibly Facebook probably saw all of the concrete work I got done this year so far. Getting the concrete work done here was a big step between the chicken yard, the garden, and getting to building the greenhouse. So that concrete needed to be done. It is 99% done. I need to build one pad, but 9 yards of concrete went in the ground while hacking up stuff out of my lungs. And we managed to get it done. Dug the hole. Also got all of my aquarium co-op production done for those guys. I got all those racks built and stuff. So it's been kind of a weird year. Yeah, 100% just in what I've been up to has been a weird year, but progress is happening. And I will be documenting the greenhouse and stuff. I didn't really document the concrete work for reasons that for reason, I guess the main reason is anonymity. I think would be the reason. I think more than anything. I didn't want. I guess that would be the reason. I didn't want a ton of people knowing what the front of my house looks like big time. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. I don't know. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Man, if I were your neighbor, you could go right ahead. I love free plants. Yeah, I mean, one of the big projects that is in the pot that potentially trying to work on, and it's also one of the reasons why I'm trying to get to 100% independent as far as the YouTube stuff goes. If we had enough of a sponsorship to get 100% independent, to just continue working and filming and editing and doing projects, which would be fantastic. One of the big projects we're trying to do is to build the some of the properties that may or may not been acquired by some people that we may or may not know, to start building essentially tiny houses on those properties, to be able to start to develop properties that are surrounded by the idea of having them be a locally producing also. So not necessarily the world's tiniest houses that you've ever seen. Not like that crazy tiny house nation where they try to build a friggin' 8-foot by 12-foot house on a trail. It's dumb. Just buy an RV. You know, if you're doing that, just get an RV. They already make them. Anyhow, but to build some tiny houses, small houses, I guess maybe would be a better way to put it. I think the idea was to have them be in the 400 to 600. No, that's not right. 600 to 800. Scratch the 400 thing. That doesn't make any sense because I did the math in my head just now. Yeah, 600 to 800, and I think 880 square feet is one of the bigger blueprint things that we had, but around the 600 square foot mark sort of makes sense in the fact that you're able to build something that is comfortable enough to live in, but it isn't wasting as much, and to build on properties that able to really do agricultural production, live a happy, comfortable life and stuff, and all those things. Big D says, I definitely don't need to see any concrete work videos. My back starts hurting worse just thinking about it. Yeah, I'll tell you that much. My hip hurts real bad psychologically when I'm seeing that way too much work. Hi Joel, my favorite plant guy. Can you recommend a great camera for both videos and stills? Not ready to break the bank yet, but still need something better than a really good phone camera. Yes, I can give you some camera recommendations. Now, I am a Canon guy, so take that with a grain of salt. I like Canon footage. I like the way that Canon looks. Their usability of their cameras is outstanding. Way easier to use than Sony. Way easier to use than Nikon, Olympus, Pentax, Panasonic, whatever. I find them to be way more usable than whatever other brands. Hasselblads. I mean, come on. So for filming fish, which is what I do, I actually am I'm working on a script right now to how to make this into a short video of like what camera you need, what camera you should take into consideration, what it is that you do, and whatnot. The Canon RP is probably the best deal right now. Let me see if I can find one for you. Because if you guys want to buy cameras through my Amazon links, I would 100% recommend that. I mean, I don't know what the commission is. It's probably like $20 or something, but that's good for sure. You definitely don't want to break the bank, but I would say that the Canon RP, if you can find a refurbished one, because we want just the camera. So this is $1,300, but you're gonna get the lens, you're gonna get the camera, and there's got to be a refurbished deal down here. Where is that? Let's see, where would we find that on the... Oh, here we go. Let's see, 5 new. Where is the... There's got to be a refurbished one around here. let's see, Canon RP, and let's put in refurbished. Ooh. Well, sometimes this crap takes a minute to find a good deal. Now, the reason I say the Canon RP is that it is a full frame camera. You're not really going to really need to upgrade from this camera for any sensor reason whatsoever. There's going to be no reason. I'm just going to post the link in here just in case so that you guys can grab it. Yeah. So you guys can grab it. There you go. There's the link to the camera that I'm talking about. And the reason that I can talk about this camera 100% during this video is because this is the camera we're using right now with the old 24-105 lens on it. This is literally my live stream camera. So I found this one super cheap. At some point, I think it was a rebuilt model or something. I got a rebate. I got a free SD card, blah, blah, blah. I got a bunch of free stuff with it. It was really, I think, like $700 after everything all said and done. And why is it important that it's a full frame camera? So the sensor on it is full frame, which means it's going to accept, full frame lenses. The aspect ratio is full frame. The sensor isn't necessarily going to get any bigger than a full frame lens. And it's a camera that will last you, this camera will last you likely a really, really long time. They've done a bunch of software updates on it. It has the flippy screen. You have audio inputs. You have video outputs that work. All of that kind of stuff. Yes, it's probably going to be about $1,000 investment. But you will be able to take pictures of fish. You will be able to take video of fish. You'll be able to change the lens out, all that kind of stuff. Big time usable camera for all fish keepers that you will likely never really have to upgrade, but you'll be able to get lenses for it so that it essentially becomes a different camera. So this is a macro lens right here, right? You can see with the hood on it, it's all this big beefy madness, right? It's a macro lens, which means that you're able to get those really close up shots that you see online. I post them occasionally, but they're really up close and personal shots, highly detailed stuff. Chris Lukup would be a good example of somebody that does that. This is essentially the same lens that he uses, a macro style lens. And you're going to be able to get all of those images, the video, all that kind of stuff from that RP. I would say is probably the best bet. Now, if you are willing to break the bank, I would wait because Canon has the R5 coming out, and I would get that camera because it's probably going to be the camera that would last you the next 20 years, and you could probably shoot all sorts of stuff. Hex Tank Apologist, no, I somehow chose tissue culture. Oh no, this should work out well. I wouldn't be super stressed out about that. I have mixed results with tissue culture, so I'm wishing you the best with your tissue culture plants. That is a little bit rough, though. Glass City says, you could plant my yard anytime. Just do my water changes. Flying Dutchie says, yeah, some people confuse caravans with tiny houses. Yeah, those little caravan tiny houses is a monumental waste of resources, honestly. I mean, I don't know. I enjoy the show. I think it's fun to watch and everything, but they're building campers that waste a ton of material compared to just buying a trailer. Let me scroll through the chat here and we'll see what's happening on this fantastic Monday. Any experience with Hygrozoa artistata? Copy. Let's go put that over into the Google machine and see what we got. That I don't think I've ever heard of that plant. Hygroryza. Hygroryza. There we go. Yeah, no, this is one that I've never seen this before. I mean, maybe I've accidentally seen it before, but oh, that's why this is a weird pond plant. So I believe that this is a pondish terrestrial plant. Now this is Hygroryza. Huh. I mean, that's water lettuce and stuff, but that's not this. I don't know. I'll definitely look into it, but appreciate it. I appreciate it. I have no answers for you, but I will look into it and get some of the old breakdowns at some point in time, and maybe I'll order some if I can find somebody that's selling it. And maybe we can grow some here and see what happens. If not, I will refer to some of the experts I know and see what we can come up with. But yeah, this looks primarily like a pond plant. Yeah, sorry, I don't want to get super distracted by the Google machine. Big D Smoke is leaving because he's got to take the dogs for a walk, and I appreciate that, man. Thanks for your support, bro. Hopefully you keep listening on your earbuds, and maybe maybe I'll say something that you're like, oh, yeah, that was good, and it made me laugh or something. Ginger Graves says, I would happily live in an RV if I could figure out how to have aquariums in it. I appreciate that. I wouldn't have aquariums in an RV. I will say my experience from living at this property here and having all my tanks in a separate building, actually, I was initially kind of sad about it. I didn't like the prospect, but then I liked the prospect. Then I grew to accept the prospect, and now I'm back to liking it again and realizing just how much I enjoy having a building to work in, to film in, where my tanks are, where all the equipment is, all that kind of stuff. Like, it's very rare that I find like fish tank stuff in my office, you know. And I think that's good. I think it's good to have things kind of broken up like that for me, and maybe it's not good for other people. I don't know. But I find it to be beneficial for me because it means that I can go in there, I can focus on my tanks and work on the things that I need to work on, and not get comfortable with the idea that it's just a tank. It's just over there. It's just, which can happen for me, where I'm like, oh, it's just over there. It's fine. But I don't need to worry about it. That kind of stuff. It's very easy to get that way. So I think it's worked out pretty well. So I think realistically, my plan is some tiny houses and workshops. I think are probably going to be the most effective way to go. Build some steel buildings and have the workshops up and have the fish tank workshops and those kinds of things. Wanted to go with the public thing. We wanted to do the maker space, but I don't think that's ever going to happen because I don't know if anybody's ever going to be able to do anything publicly ever, right? I mean, I'm sure it's coming back, but it is a slight worry that that's a model that probably will never work out because just the crowds and stuff like that just probably aren't going to be able to visit and things, Ooh. My phone is telling me it's coming up. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I forgot to hit the cough button again. I'm not very good at hitting the cough button. Sorry, guys. They sort of come out of nowhere. It's very weird. Yeah. Whew, sorry about that. Hygrorhiza is a type of grass plant. Yes, I'm seeing that over here. Very interesting. Johan says, just keep what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll meet again later in the future. I hope we do, too. I really hope we do. From 1850 to 1920, 1.5 million Swedes fled to the U.S. due to misgrowth in farming. That sounds right. That sounds right. I'd have to look it up to 100% verify whether that's true or not, but could be. Yeah. All right. I think we're kind of caught up on the chat. I'm kind of running out of steam, and I got to go get something hot to drink and try and quash this cough. And they're reminding me that I have to drink like 100 gallons of water a day or something. I think I caught up with most of the chat. I think we got all of our super chats, that's for sure. Let me move this chat window over here, and we'll stick it there so we can take a look. Yes, we got a super chat from Alyssa Bentley, Glass City Fish Tank Barn, Janice Lundberg, and Big D Smoke. And Janice Lundberg, a new member today. One day. Oh, I said a burp. That was weird. Anyhow, got super gross here at the end where I'm coughing and burping. So, love you guys. Hope everybody's having a fantastic Monday out there, and I will talk to you on the other side of whatever